Good evening, SARS. I am Bianca Flowers, a member of the Public Relations and Journalism Committee. I am here to bring to you our next installation of our Dear Delta Words of Wisdom from our next Delta, Soror Vagella Smalls. Sarah Smalls, in your own words, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you became a Delta and when?
Um, I have the distinct honor of being one of 15 women who were initiated by a Minerva Circle that was comprised of only charter members.
Wow.
So that was in the spring of 1990, Summerville Alumnae. Beautiful experience.
Oh, I bet it was. Um, why did you choose Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated?
Well, growing up in, especially once I got to high school and knew something about sororities, I had this one English teacher who was just dynamic. She was from Alabama, and she had attended Talladega and got her master's at Fisk. And I mean, she was just the it teacher for me. And she talked a lot about her college days, and she always told us that she had read all of the books in the Fisk library. I still don't know if I believe that, but if she said it, I have to believe it. But
Yes.
she was just a dynamic woman, and I wanted to be like her. And she talked a lot about her sorority. She was very, very much engaged in the business of Delta, and so I wanted to be Luvinia Millings. So I went to an all-girls school, and we didn't have sororities on the campus. And so I had to, put that aside. But I did major in English. I was a good English student. And 26 years later, 25 or 26, I was working up in Dorchester 4. And one of my colleagues came to me one day and said that they had, chartered their chapter, and they were having a line and asked me if I would like to join. And of course, my heart almost leaped out of my chest. And so that's it. The rest is history. I got on the line, and here I am.
Wow. That is an awesome story. Um, I think, well, I know for myself, following in the footsteps of someone else and seeing someone who, has kind of blazed the trail, that's also something that's kind of led me to Delta as well. So to hear that story from you, it kind of brings a little warmth to my heart. Um,
Yeah.
which brings us to our next question. What was one of the biggest demonstrations of sisterhood that you have experienced or witnessed thus far?
Um, I have two things. First of all, my initiation period was just awesome. It was full of respect and learning, and it was just a wonderful experience. So it was, to me, it was just um, the way the charter sorors brought us in, and they all were there. We got a chance to meet them as the line went on and on and on. And so that was a great experience. But I think even almost as great as that was my first regional conference. That was the first time I had gone to a large Delta meeting. And so I can remember the after the opening ceremony was over. Then in those days, we all wore white. It was almost uninterrupted white. We'd have on the white dress, the white stockings, the white shoes. And so the soror that I was with told me, now, if we get away from each other, then I'll be out in the lobby waiting for you. And so when the thing turned out and I went out into the lobby, there was just an ocean of white. I couldn't see anybody's faces. All I could see was white, white, white. So I couldn't find anybody, but everybody was hugging and laughing and just, it was just beautiful just to stand there and watch them. And of course, eventually my Soror and I found each other, but it was touch and go there for a moment because everybody looked the same.
Yes, ma'am. I can honestly say when I went to my first national convention in New Orleans, like being in such a large room and all you see is a sea of red and white. I didn't get lost, but it was just the impact to know that everyone in this room is there for the same reasons, or at
Mhm.
least, we're all in this sisterly camaraderie going toward the same goal.
Mhm.
But I honestly, it is touching. And even seeing some of the photos that they have taken up from afar, those are the ones that I love to see the most. Um, no, yes, ma'am, I definitely agree with
Yeah,
you on that
yeah.
one.
And you almost lose your identity because you don't even have a name anymore. You just become, hey Soror, hey Soror. When you hear Soror, you automatically turn around, but they might not be talking to you.
Yes,
So it was a very heartwarming experience for me.
yes, ma'am. Which takes me to my next question, which I kind of think I know the answer. Um, what sorority initiatives do you gravitate toward the most?
Oh, without a doubt, social action.
Okay.
Is that what you thought?
Well, I also thought policy and procedure because as soon as I joined in 2018, that was the first committee I joined, and I have learned an immense amount of information about Delta from you.
No, thank you. Thank you. But I'm a social action person at heart. During the from the time I was probably in junior high school, the civil rights movement was going on in Greensboro. So I got exposed to a lot of people. Jesse Jackson was um, the president of the student government at A&T at the time. So he was leading all of these demonstrations and stuff. And so, we would sneak because my parents didn't want us out there demonstrating because they were afraid we'd get hurt. But
Yes.
we could go to rallies at churches, and I got a chance to hear Martin Luther King speak at Bennett College. And, of course, we were in front of the TV all the time. And not too many years before that is when Emmett Till was killed. And so that was all over. We used to have a subscription to Life, to the Afro American. I don't even know if those old Negro papers or Black papers are still in
Information, yeah.
existence now. I think it was the Philadelphia Courier or something like that. And they would have these pictures of this young child, on the magazines and on the newspaper. And I just, I couldn't imagine in my heart how somebody could do something to, a young child like that. And I always felt like if I got grown enough or old enough, I would always, do my part to make sure we all were equal.
Oh, wow.
So I love social action.
Well, I've learned something new about you myself, and I, I feel like we need to have an off-camera interview so you can tell me about Jesse Jackson and listening to Martin Luther King. Um,
Mhm.
but I guess moving on to the next question to, try to keep on down on time, what is one of the greatest lessons that you have learned from being a Delta?
Um, I think one of the greatest things that I have learned, and Soror Johnny Mazik used to say this all the time, that Delta business is not personal business, that we all should be able to express our opinions, that we all should be able to disagree, or agree to disagree and let it go, that once we leave our chapter meeting, we're done with that, and we don't have to stop speaking to each other. We don't have to be mad with each other because I disagree with you. So that's probably my greatest lesson in Delta. It's a maturing process, really.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am. Um, I know earlier you mentioned your professor that kind of you wanted to emulate as a Delta. Is there anyone other than her that inspires you, past or present, from Delta Sigma Theta? Um, and what qualities or characteristics do they possess that you admire?
There is one Delta that I just love, 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 and that is Soror Vagella, our 16th national president.
Oh,
She is, yeah, you know which one she is?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
I got a picture with her when I was in New Orleans.
yeah, yeah. I look at her and it's just so unbelievable that she's into her 90s and she's still strutting around, doing Delta. She is just, she is just someone that I just admire.
Yeah.
And when she speaks, even E.F. Hutton listens. Everybody wants to hear what she has to say. So I love her. I do.
I can agree with that one as well. What advice would you be able to give? Um, I know this question is a little
Mm.
harder to explain. What advice would you give to Deltas, um, 62 years from now? So, 62 years from now, I hope we're, no, I know we'll both be long gone, but for that new Delta that's coming in, um, into the sorority, what message would you give to them?
I think I would tell them to just remember that this is a lifetime commitment, that is it's not something that you take lightly. And a lot of times, we come in and I guess we come in for different reasons, but I think that if you study the literature and you have a good idea of what Delta is about, then you'll understand that it's a whole lot more than stepping and strolling and wearing paraphernalia. That's something you do in your social life, and Delta is not a social organization. And so I think that's what I would say. Just remember it's a lifetime commitment, pay your dues for a lifetime, and very definitely work diligently in the organization.
Yes, ma'am. And to our last question, in closing, is there anything else that you would like to share or expound on that I did not ask you?
I think you asked me enough. But I would just like to take the opportunity to thank you all for asking me to do this, because it makes me feel like somebody wants to hear something that I have to say.
Yeah.
And I guess that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate your time. And, as this goes out to other sorors, I hope that they enjoy watching as much as I did enjoy interviewing you.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
yes, ma'am. Have a nice one.
All right, you